Hello. I am putting my effort to reduce frequent burning out of the transformer in my own way. What I am doing is just listen to totally about 15 minutes it is. The solution for this burning out and reason why it burns out, everything I have told you at the end after explaining the basic concept of a transformer which is very much required for you to take care of that transformer also from our own effort. Please listen and tell your opinions. I'll explain the fundamental things of a transformer in a very simple way. Normally, it is a step-down transformer from nearly 11,000 volts. Of course, this is also called as kVA to 220 volts for supplying our houses. It is a step-down transformer. Now, the scenario is initially when they put the transformer, say there will be 100 houses with the 3 kilowatt capacity each, and that will be 300 kilowatts total power. And normally they will put the transformer rating much above that one, that is 500 kilowatts. This is the first type of problem that can occur, and that is normally happening. Now I'll tell you after some 5 years what will happen to this scenario. Now the transformer will not burn out and the capacity is 500 kilowatts and it will run smoothly and probably for some 5 years. Now I'll show you a scenario after 5 years. There will be 300 houses instead of 100 with 3 kilowatts. Now the total power is 900 kilowatts. But the capacity of the transformer is 500 kilowatts and we have to upgrade or replace it. So this particular thing is to be done from the government side or BESCOM side, and therefore I'll tell you the scenario how it actually happens. There will be transformers supplying power to our houses. But remember, these are controlled by a bigger transformer that is also having a capacity. If you upgrade this or this or this or totally, the capacity of this has to be increased. Otherwise, when you upgrade these transformers, this will burn off. In effect, upgrading a transformer or replacing one transformer itself is a huge task, and while doing so, we'll incur with another bigger problem wherein which a big transformer is to be upgraded or replaced. Remember, if this burns out, it takes about 2-3 hours to repair, but if this burns out, it takes 2-3 days or even more. And therefore, they have balanced all these powers, and depending upon these capacities, they have installed a bigger transformer. So it is called cascading effect. You can't simply upgrade or replace one or two transformers just because it is having over capacity. But finally that has to be done, or an additional transformer has to be 1A like that, and then there will be additional power or replace the bigger transformer in the long run, but that takes a longer time. So at the end, I'll tell you what we can do at present to reduce the burning of this transformer frequently. So this is problem number 1 for burning of the transformers. Now I'll tell you the problem number 2. Of course, this is a transformer. You have seen some cooling tubes. These are filled with oils, and cooling oil will be circulating. And remember, why should there be a cooling? We know that transformer is having a highest capacity or efficiency of 95 to 98%. Even then, the 2% of the power is converted into heat. Therefore, it has to be cooled by these oil tubes. Whenever there is a rain, there is some remote possibility that some water may leak into these cooling oil tubes or vice versa, so that its capacity or thermal conductivity will vary, or it may lead to short circuit and burning out of the transformer. This is of course a rare thing, but whenever transformer burns out immediately after rain, it has to be repaired. So when such a thing is frequent, definitely we have to complain it to the authorities so that they will come and check the effectiveness of these particular coolants and its thermal conductivity, whether water is leaking into the transformer or oil is leaking out of the transformer, etc. So this is a problem which normally occurs immediately when rain starts after some 10-15 minutes after the heavy rain. Of course, as I've already mentioned, this is quite rare, and if it happens, the only way is that we have to complain it to the authorities and get it rectified. Now I'll explain yet another problem, that is problem 3 third way in which the transformer can burn out. This is extremely rare, even then it can happen. During thunderstorm, the cloud which is having one type of charge will exchange the charge in the form of a thunderbolt with respect to the other cloud or ground. While doing so, very rarely it goes through the wire and gets out there. But in that process, it will have to travel through the transformer also, and if the strength of this thunderbolt is or the charge is too much, this transformer will burn out. This will happen only during very heavy thunderstorms and very rarely when one cloud is utilizing our wire to change its charge from this end to that end or vice versa. This we can't help it, and in advanced countries also, when the transformer burns out in this way, it is difficult to repair, it has to be replaced. And if the bigger transformer burns in this way, then it takes more than a week. And of course, we have seen probably in last month or a couple of months before, Spain was having such a problem and there was no power for 4 to 5 days. Anyway, this is a very rare phenomena. Only thing is, we have to do something when the problem one, very frequent problem of the type 1 occurs, and that is what I have already explained. That is this: when the transformer capacity is initially sufficient and after 5 years if it is low, what best we can do before upgrading or replacing at present, and that I'll explain now. So there is one very important thing that we can do. First of all, in every house there will be a maximum power given. Say 5 kilowatt is given to you. That means whenever you try to exceed that 5 kilowatt, there will be a power tripper which will trip off. So you can never exceed 5 kilowatt. That instrument is there to protect the transformer also. But remember, there is another limit now imposed by BESCOM, say that is 3 kilowatts. Even if you exceed 3 kilowatts, your power tripper will not trip. You can use 4 kilowatt also. But if you exceed this BESCOM limit of say 3 kilowatts, then they will just put a fine. So some hundreds of rupees of fine you have to pay. I think some of you have already experienced that one. I have also experienced that one in one of the months. So what is the best thing is, whenever you try to switch on two things which are taking too much of power, like a geyser and the AC or something like that, when you do that simultaneously, or if you put 2-3 geysers at a time, switch it on, then you will exceed that BESCOM limit and incur a fine. Yet another thing is, when there is a power trip off or whatever it is, the transformer burns out due to overloading, then when they try to restore the power, what we normally do is, we will be waiting for the power, and we probably will switch on all the things that are there in our house, waiting for the power to be restored. Whenever we do like that, when the power is restored, again the transformer fuse will burn out because of heavy load. Because all of us are trying to use maximum load, as I've already mentioned, the number of houses are increased, the total capacity of the transformer is less than what all of us can together simultaneously use. But we do not know what other person is doing, whether he has switched on all the things or not. What best we can do, all of us together, is, instead of waiting for the power to be restored by switching on all the things, switch off all the things, and whenever the power is restored, switch on any one thing, which is extremely important. So when you do that way, even when they restore the power, immediately it will not burn out. Or whenever you try to have a balance, the maximum capacity that you are using in your own house is limited to some value, then even when all of us are using some minimum quantity, like one geyser or one AC or something like that, then the present capacity of the transformer itself is sufficient and it will not burn out. So the transformer capacity is such that it is acting on probabilistic concept. That means everybody will not switch on everything at the same time. If you switch it on everything at the same time, then it will burn out. Therefore, it happens normally in the early morning, or say by 7 o'clock, etc., where we are likely to have all the geysers, etc., switched on. Therefore, the best way is, switch on the most important equipment only and reduce the maximum power that you are trying to tap out. Anyway, with my limited electrical knowledge, I have told you all these things. Maybe there are better solutions. My field is actually mechanical field. I think this particular solution is going to solve the transformer frequent burnout of the problem. Thank you very much. All the suggestions, opinions are welcome. Thank you.